Yo, I'm DJP Coaching, otherwise known as Ventus, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a bubbly, sort of warbly neuro bass that sounds like this. Yeah, so you get the idea. Keep in mind the preset will be in the description below for free, so you can go download that now and click off this video if you want. But I'm going to run it through and just show you how I processed it, how I created the sound, and a little bit of just a little bit of advice here and there to help you out with it. Bear in mind this isn't a finished tune, by the way, so it does sound a little bit messy, so just bear that in mind. Rightio, so this is the sound. Yeah, so I'm just going to run it through the oscillators, turn all this stuff off, just so that you get an idea of what it started as. Alright, so I started with a sine wave, 3 octaves up, and then I put oscillator B on there with another sine wave, 1 octave up, turn the volume all the way down, and then I put FM from B up to 29%. And I put a noise on there, Atmos 7 in this SOR sort of folder. Phase is on about 31%. I only did it just to move it about a little bit, random down. Yeah, following on from that, I did a filter, MG low 12, it's affecting everything. A little bit of drive on there, 18%, a little bit of resonance, 15% on there. And then what I've done is the cutoff's about 551 Hz. And then I've put an LFO on here with this sort of shape here. So it's sort of a slow attack on the LFO, and then it fades out a bit, you know, slower. Then I've got that connected to the level on the noise oscillator up to about 28. Yeah. And then on the FM, I've got that going up to 24. Bear in mind the FM's on 29%, I'm not sure if I mentioned that. And then on the cutoff, I've got another one on there as well, being affected by the LFO, and that's going up to 68. So that's what this sounds like now. Which doesn't sound very special. But now, because it's low frequency FM synthesis, I can get a lot of nice tonalities out of that when I distort it. So I put a distortion on there, synfold on about 17%, and it's pre-fader, pre-effects, whatever you want to, yeah. And it is on a high pass filter up to about 141 Hz. And then obviously the LFO is connected to the mix, so it's going all the way up and all the way down based on this. So it's open here, closed there, and there. Drive, I've got a little bit of automation on there, but only like one. That's just to give it a bit more movement, barely noticeable really. But in the whole scheme of things, little bits like that do make a big difference. Just making it sound a little bit more human. Because obviously with robotic sort of electronic music like this, you know, you want to have a little bit of randomness, I guess, sort of some sort of movement. It's not just always the same, identical every time. So that sounds like this. And then I put a chorus on there. Really slow rate, about 24 bars. Delays are above, pretty much central, about 5 milliseconds. Depth 3.8, and the feedback's quite high. I think it's 68%. And then I've got an LF low pass filter, sorry, going up to about 13,000 hertz, and then the mix is about 16%. So it's only affecting the really high end stuff, but you know, it's spreading that width a little bit, and then I've put it quite low in the mix, so it's quite subtle, and that again adds a little bit more depth to the sound. And then I've got a multi-band compressor here, thresholds on about -28 dB, ratio 4:1, attack is 283, so I've got a slow attack on it, so it sort of smooths out the sound a little bit, doesn't make it as aggressive, because the sound is aggressive in itself. And then release is about 129 milliseconds and about 13 dB of gain, just so I've basically crushed it down, brought it all up. And then on the actual multi-band itself, the bands, it's about 60% on the low, so I took quite a bit of the low out because obviously we don't need the low end in this sort of instance. Mid's about 149% and high's about 146, and then that's max wetness. Last little thing I'd probably mention, or last couple of things on this, about 15 millisecond attack just to stop it popping when you hit the note, and then a bit of release just to stop it popping when you release. Yeah, and then got it in mono legato so that it only plays one note at a time, and I've got it portamento so that if I do cross over some notes, like especially in these little bits here, they don't really cross, but because I put it on always, it has a little bit of pitch bend, about 29 milliseconds, so it's nothing crazy, but you can hear it jumping, it's like sliding between the notes. That's pretty much it for the sound. I automated the LFO rate just in the second half of this bit, so I slowed it down to about quarter notes. But yeah, after that, I've got a low cut, about 270 hertz, because obviously I've got the sub underneath. Usually I'd do it a little bit lower, maybe around there, 140 or something, but I think the low mids, especially in this sort of genre, the kick is really like boxy, so I needed it to sort of fit in the space there. I've got two compressors, you know, sort of low, about 5 threshold, 3.6 on the ratio, 2 millisecond attack, 50 millisecond release, so I've kept them the same. And then we don't really need the I could use a side chain, but I think with this melody that it uses, it does sort of make it duck at the wrong times, and I kind of like the fact that it's open. It doesn't sound like it's being pushed away or anything like that. You know, obviously it goes by track basis, so that could change. I could like the same thing, or I could like put, obviously I prefer to put compressors and side chains on, side chains on stuff where, you know, something's been obscured and it's ruining, it's not really getting through, you know. But I can go into a video about sidechain in depth, a proper video about it, if that's something you'd be interested in. I'm still doing one-to-ones, personalized to your wants and needs. We can work on an EP, we can work on a single, we can work on an album, and I can help you with all the process, from building the concept to the artwork to the music business to getting it on digital platforms to, you know, knowing what you need to do to improve, knowing what people have done in the past, sort of to make the process easier, I guess. So I can help you with all that stuff anyway. And DJing lessons I'm still doing. These are more in a personal sort of in-person basis. Obviously, if you're around the Midlands or Huddersfield more specifically, then you know, I'm happy to book in a lesson, and you're welcome to come down and watch some CDJ 900s and DJM 600. We can have a little bash on and get you up to that sort of industry standard level of DJing. Other than that, preset will be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out Patreon, my music, do what you want, but I'm just glad you watched. All my love, thank you very much, adios.